When embarking on styling any space, there are important factors to consider such that you are creating a space that is not only aesthetic but also quite functional. Now, in today's video, I'll be sharing with you the top 5 tips to consider before styling any space. Anyway guys, Faazati Ali here, interior designer, and why don't we jump right into the video. Now, before styling any space, one of the first things you want to consider is functionality of the space. Now, this is very important because different spaces will have different requirements and you have to keep them in mind before you begin any styling. So say you have a home that has a lot of kids or toddlers and they're always running around, jumping around the spaces, and you are such a big lover of white, so your sofas are white. I mean, they look beautiful. But if you consider functionality and if you consider the type of home and the type of people using it, then you might want to reconsider the fabric that you use on this sofa. Maybe it's an easily washable one, or you want to consider the color. You can change the color of the entire sofa such that you're going for a color that does not stain that easily. When it comes to materials, if you do still have kids or toddlers who these kids play around, they're always very inquisitive, they jump around on everything. So materials like glass might not also be a good option, because if it was to crack or break, then we're talking about an emergency and it could cut, it could harm, and you want to think about this and maybe avoid this kind of material in a home that has kids. You want to think about items that are also child friendly. Avoid things with sharp edges or sharp corners. Go for things that maybe are more rounded and curved, just to ensure that you are child proofing. In case they fall, you will not get hurt. If we move into the bedroom area, of course, if it's kids, you're going to think about playing around with colors and so on. But if it's an adult's bedroom, then you're probably going to be going off neutral colors. When it comes to the curtain, which is a very important part of any bedroom, because when you're sleeping in and you don't want lighting coming through, then you're probably going to go for blackout curtains. Very important. When you're thinking about, say, the kitchen area and you're trying to think about lighting, task lighting is very important in this space. So you have to make sure the light in this area is bright enough for anybody who is trying to do any activities, cooking, and so on in this space. You want to think about all these things before styling any space to avoid any kind of mishaps, colors that don't work in spaces, lighting that doesn't work in a space, such that you're cooking but you can't really see what you're doing, and so on. So think about all this when it comes to your flooring choices. In a kid's bedroom, you probably want to avoid tiles that can be slippery, because they're going to be pouring things on the surface, making it slippery. They can easily fall and so on. So just think about all this. Maybe in their play area, you want to do something like rubber flooring, such that it's softer. If they were to fall, they would not get hurt, and so on. So think about all this. Functionality is very important because it also decides the kind of items you're bringing into the space. That's why it's important. Think about functionality. How are you going to be using this space? Is it going to be appropriate? Are the things you're bringing in, making it usable, or is it just about aesthetics? You have to definitely think about functionality. Very important. It will help you decide and definitely style the space as appropriately as possible. Now, something else you want to consider when styling a space is the focal point. You always have to bring in a feature into any space. So when you're done styling a space with the basic items, such as your chairs, your sofas, your tables, and so on, then think about what is it that's going to make the space pop. Because if we don't, then the whole space is going to be one bland look that will not create any interest. Think about, what do I want to be the main focal point when somebody walks into the space, such that is what's so appealing to the eye immediately anybody walks into the room. Now you can do this with your walls, create a feature wall with wallpaper, wall molding, fluted panels, and so on. You can do this as well with your lighting fixture choices. So go for something bold, for something that stands out, and somebody walks in and their eyes are immediately elevated to look at your chandelier or your pendant, and it just makes the room glow. On top of that, you can think about doing this with featured trees or the way you accessorize the space. Say bring in huge planters that just look amazing. It's an introduction of biophilia, which is quite the thing and looks really, really great. You can also think about playing around with your accessories. If it's an artwork, go for something large that stands out and creates a statement in the space. You can have accent lighting above it just to make it stand out even more. So you can create focal points in very many different ways. So think about this and create something that will stand out when somebody walks into the room. And ensure you're not creating multiple focal points, because then this becomes way too much. Just pick one, stick with that. If you want to add another one, make it slightly minimal, but don't have everything shouting for attention. Then it will not be well put together. Well, something else you definitely want to think about when you're styling a space is Tropic Flow. Now, of course, this is very important in any space. You have to be able to move around in different rooms of your home comfortably without squeezing through, without struggling to lift a table before you can really pass behind it. We do not want that. We want a space that flows very freely. So in your living room area, have your coffee table in sizes and proportions that actually work for the space. You know, sometimes a space is really small, but you bring in a really large sofa, you bring in a really large coffee table. Now there's hardly any room for your legs to sit on the ground. Now we do not want a space that is too tight. This doesn't work. Not for the bedroom area, not for the living area. So ensure you have enough space for traffic flow, and this would be around 1 meter between items. This is the easiest way of moving around. And so scale and proportion comes in handy when it comes to this point, because the items that you bring have to be able to fit in your space appropriately so that you have enough traffic flow within the space. Now, a very major factor to consider when styling any space is definitely your design style. Now, your design style will dictate the kind of items that you bring into a space, because every style has its own characteristics when it comes to furniture, when it comes to color palette, when it comes to accessories and everything. So it dictates everything that you're going to bring into a space, your material choices and so on. So you have to know your design style so that you're picking things that will make it work for your space. Of course, when you go out there to shop, as I always say, there's gonna be a lot of different nice items, a lot of different beautiful items. It doesn't mean they all will work together in one space. Once you bring all these items in one space is when you probably realize, oh shit, you know, maybe this coffee table does not work for my sofa. Maybe this is not tying together with the rest of the style in my space. So you have to always think about your design style. And the best way to do this is to figure out your style and then create a mood board where you can place items and be able to know what's going to work with what. This will give you a very easy idea to go off when you go shopping, and it will definitely guide you to pick the right items that will work for your particular space. So very important, think about that. Now, I also know there are people who would love to blend more than one style, and that is perfectly okay. You just have to blend them appropriately. I'm one of those people as well. I definitely am a big lover of contemporary style, but I look at Japan and I'm like, damn, this is beautiful. And I look at Candy and it's just wow, it's very warm and cozy. And so yes, if I want to work with both of them, I can. Just blend them appropriately and make it work for your space. But yes, design style is very important. You have to know what you're working with before you can bring items into your space. Otherwise, things might clash and not exactly work together to create a composition. Now let's talk about details, because this is a very important part of interior design. Now when you are done, bringing in the basic items in the space, you also want to think about accessorizing. Very, very important. But also details refers to everything that you put into consideration when selecting each and every item that you're bringing into a space. Say I want a gray sofa. That is noted. You want a gray sofa. But what material are you going for? What is the criteria you're using to pick your materials? Is it a more durable material? Is it a material that you just love? Do you like the texture of it? Do you like maybe a pattern going on it? So think about all these intricate details when you're selecting each and every piece that you bring into your space. because this is what will make a space feel styled. So you want to think about details when it comes to your accessories, when it comes to your vases, texture, colors, material options, patterns. All these things are quite important. So when you're selecting anything, say you're going for metals, do you want it shiny, do you want it glossy, do you want it brushed? Because all this will definitely change and create a variety of looks in a space. So choose the one that works for your space. So it's very important. And of course, this goes down to accessorizing. Don't just create a space and not accessorize. Let's accessorize that sofa with throw pillows. Let's accessorize that sofa with a throw blanket. Let's accessorize our coffee tables with a tray, with a nice bouquet of flowers, with candles, with dummy books, and so on. This makes it work even better. This just creates that last final touch that every space needs to actually look beautiful. So think about detailing as well as you continue and finish up styling your space. Now guys, I am running late for work. The lengths I go through to create these videos for you, I hope you guys enjoy them, and do let me know by liking, commenting, subscribing. It means the world to me. So guys, I hope you got to learn something. I hope this will actually allow you to create a space that looks absolutely aesthetic and functional as well. Anyway guys, thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video. See you next week inshallah with another video. Love you guys so much. Bye bye.